I'm Connie Lingus with EAF Radio on channel FCKU 69, bringing you the first segment of this week's broadcast, the Dix Report with Fonda Dix. All people, places and events talked about on this podcast have been obscured to protect the identities of those involved. And to cover our own asses legally as much as we can. If you think we're talking about you, we might be. But good luck proving it. The views and opinions discussed on the Dix Report are solely those of Fonda Dix and the perverts she interviews unless stated otherwise. This podcast is intended only for listeners over the age of 18 and will likely contain a fuckload of vulgar and offensive adult themes, content and language. Descriptions of sexual or disgusting acts are likely. If that's not your thing, remember that you have free will long enough to close whatever app you're listening to this on before expending the energy to complain to someone who doesn't care. In short, listener discretion is advised. Now over to the void for the world's leading source of debaucherous journalism. What filth have you got for us today, Fonda?
Hello there, perverts, and welcome back. In today's episode of the Dix Report, I cement my vow to expand my pool of perverts and weirdos to share my platform with by talking to a longtime friend and porn fan about what it's like on the other side of things as a consumer of debauchery and filth you can find for sale on the internet. In the first half of our little chat, we cover a lot of interesting topics, like the parasocial relationships that can develop when humans interact with one another on the internet, the parallels between safe for work and not safe for work content creation, and of course, the Twitch to OnlyFans pipeline that is so prevalent nowadays, including one creator in particular he was a fan of, and the disappointments that can come when you pay for porn from someone who is in it for the money, like every sex worker is, but is slow to learning the rules of equivalent exchange. So much so that it almost seems like they are trying to take advantage of their fans and supporters instead of actually doing the work and upkeep that is implied to come from someone who advertises their naughtier accounts to thousands of people on a regular basis. As always, I invite you to sit back and enjoy this week's episode of the Dix Report. Hello there, perverts. I am Fonda Dix, and this is the official return/rebranding of the Dix Report. And this is going to get a little confusing, but we're going to run with it. I am here today with a friend of mine. And what would you like to be referred to, friend? Or referred to as?
I will go by Dixi.
Dixi!
It is quite easy for many people to remember. Full online handle is Dix Infernus. However, I never choose to correct anyone because it's hilarious. They always say Dix Infernus. Always a great outcome when that happens.
For the longest time, I just shortened your name to Dixi because my brain didn't click the Infernus part, like you were saying. And now it's just every time I see you, I either call you Dix or Dixie. So there's a lot of Dix going on in today's episode.
Yeah, that's one heck of a welcome back.
I think so. I think it's appropriate as fuck, man. It's great. We know each other because you have been hanging out in my various, and God, there's been a lot, in my various streaming platforms and fan platforms, and then we just kind of became friends. How long have you been perving around the internet as somebody who actually doesn't mind paying for your porn, tipping the people who perform for you, etc.?
Let's see. I would have to say that would probably have been around, I want to say 2006, 2007.
Oh man, so right before I popped on.
Probably, yeah. Just crazy to think about it. Like, you probably just started around the time that I got introduced to this whole wide world of online perversions.
It's a wonderful world. It's one of the best parts and the worst parts of the internet, honestly.
Indeed. Well, speaking of, funny story of how I got introduced to those sites. 4chan. One of the best and worst places, according to most media outlets.
Fucking 4chan.
To be associated with. for all the horrible things that they have done, I will say they have done a few good things. They have found missing people. They would even put in more time and efforts into researching like missing persons.
They're really
Yeah,
morally ambiguous over there. Does 4chan still? It probably does, right?
it exists. It's been under different management for the past few years. Is my recollection.
Is
Moot,
Moot?
yeah, Moot
That
was the owner.
oh yeah, see? Yeah, I haven't smoked away all my memory yet. Nice. So you found what site did you find first? You're welcome to say the full site. I don't give a shit.
It was my free cams, and it was because of a series of 4chan raids to the website,
Oh god, I do okay.
and 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 my hand in those raids was just to sit there with a little bag of popcorn and to watch the craziness occur.
What did they used
Because
to
there's
do?
always just it would just be like stupid things, like they would say, "It will pay you to put a sharpie up your butt, or to pee in the cup, or put something on your head, or oink like a pig." Yeah,
Sharpie and Pooper. I had Sharpie and
yeah, all
Pooper
those old memes.
on my tip list. I think if I ever go back to social camming, I would still have that on my tip list because I think it was on there last year when I was doing social camming. They never bothered me. They never like fucked with my stuff. I was really thankful because I always used to say on stream that like, yeah, it's like Beetlejuice. You say the name 3 fucking times and they will show up and you will probably have a bad time.
Yeah, there are sometimes people who would just linger on MFC just to find quote targets unquote, and then they would go back to 4chan on their random thread, and I mean, if it got enough traction before it disappeared into the ether, then a raid would form.
Good god. That I mean, I get it. Bored people on the internet who have the ability to remain anonymous. I get it.
Mm.
It brings out some really weird parts of the human psyche.
I mean, as the saying goes, give a man a mask and you'll see who he really is.
Yes, exactly. That is great. That is a great fucking saying because you're absolutely fucking correct. Here's a question because I know a lot of people, especially in this day and age, in this economy, think
Mm.
that paying for your porn, I hear this constantly in the real world, paying for your porn is bullshit. Paying for performers when you could just cruise around on the site and wait for somebody else to tip for the show or to tip for something so you can see shit is the way to go. Why do you pay for your shit?
It's for me, it's just the proper thing to do
Etiquette.
because you're yeah, etiquette.
You were raised with
Because this
manners.
is someone who takes their time out to try to entertain other people. I mean, this is what happens on sites like Twitch, on YouTube. I mean, sure, they have other sources of revenue coming in from the hosting sites themselves, but a lot of it does come from the sort of semi direct contributions from their viewers, from their fans. But on those websites, it's, I guess, because it's more stigmatized to be associated with such forms of entertainment, that it's like, well, no one's going to care if I don't pay this person to do this. That's probably what they're thinking.
Oh,
Or they're
absolutely.
probably also thinking, I'll be done in really quick anyway, so why should I have to pay for something like that?
I've been edging all day. No,
One
you're
thing that
good.
I have noticed after those 4chan raids was that like, some of their targets were really cool people. So when the raid did all their trolling and had their lulls and dispersed, I would hang around in some of those rooms just to chat with the performer because, really cool person. We're all people after all. And sure, someone might be there to try to make money shaking their butt in front of the camera, but there is a person still sitting in front of that camera.
This is interesting as fuck to me. And it always has been a lot of the people who have spent a lot of time hanging out. Cause I mean, Dixie, man, we've been fucking hanging out for a decade plus now. Uh, they have the ability to actually keep a person's humanity when they have detachment from them. I don't think that's very common. I think a lot of people dehumanize, especially like porn people and sex workers and stuff like that, because they've been raised to. Every piece of media, everything their parents probably taught them, you know.
I mean, I fail to see some reason to say someone is less than human unless they act like it. They treat others as such.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely, yeah. No, that's what convinces me that somebody is just a grotesque monstrosity. You're not human if you can't see other people as human because of certain differences you guys have. Like we were talking before we started the show, there was a thing recently in the Twitch community, I assume, with a VTuber who received a gift from a fan or someone with an air tag in it.
Correct.
What the fuck? Did I miss any facts from that story? Like, their reaction was pretty horrified, as it should be.
Yeah, they refuse to go home, and I think they are still abstaining from doing so for a bit longer. This happened, I want to say, about 2 weeks ago. But yes, as an online personality, there's definitely going to be people whose attention you're going to get, for better or for worse. I mean, I think Amaranth had someone fly in from another country, stayed in a hotel in her town, and was just trying to stay close to her, and was even making posts saying, with like a ring, saying, "I'm going to marry her someday,"
That's
and just stalked around a town until the police got involved and removed him or something.
the parasocial relationships that people form within their own heads, because the line between fan and something else gets really blurry for people, it seems, when there's sexuality involved, especially because a lot of times as a sex worker, when you're in that show mode or you're in the like work mode, so to speak, you're doing the flirting, you're saying what the person is leading you to say, you know, what they want to hear. And personally, I don't take it too far. Like, we can talk slutty sex stuff all fucking day when that's occurring, but I'm not going to promise you shit about a future relationship, or I'm not going to, yeah. I don't think Amaranth would either, honestly.
No. If anything, if I recall, the quote Twitch meta end quote would have entailed just to leave your viewers to assume, if you're female, that you're single and available. So that just left it and kind of just open ended for anyone to think, oh, no one's laid claim to her. Well, maybe if I donate a few hundreds or thousands of dollars to her and shower her with gifts from her wish list, she'll
Yeah.
take special notice to me outside of reading my name on chat whenever I make a donation.
And that's insanely common. And people think, they really do think that if they are able to they're able to buy your affection, and if you don't return it, then you're the bad guy.
That mentality has been around for ages, I think.
Oh
Even
god,
before we were born,
eons.
there'll just be people who, it's like, I've given you attention, I've showered you in gifts. Why are you not giving me what I so rightly deserve?
That is the main crux of like male existence for the last fucking 2000 years. Is their main idea, because honestly that's a lot of how we condition men.
Especially with media.
Oh my god, yeah. In my experience, and I don't know if you experience this as a dude who likes to fuck ladies, but when a man is paying attention to a woman and she kind of wants nothing to do with him, it just increases the attraction on the man's part.
I can't say I've experienced that.
Well, good for
Because for
you,
me, at
honestly.
least, it's been. Yeah, I mean, from those that I have expressed my interest to, they politely declined. It wasn't like one of those situations that you would probably hear some incel whine and complain about of like, ew, no. It was just like, hey, you're a cool guy, but I'm just not interested in you in that way. And it's like, fair enough, and just back off from that. I don't pursue it further, which some people would probably say that's a problem. Yeah, and that's both men and women who would say that.
Like, if
But
somebody tells you, like, they're or shows you that they're not interested. But no, it's just been my experience with men that the less attention you pay them, the less you fawn over them, the more you're a bitch, the more they wanna chase you. I think it's mommy issues, and I think I probably picked pretty poorly. But, you know, if history has anything to say about it, I definitely pick very poorly. But yeah, and I don't know, I think there's gotta be some link between that and the parasocial fucking obsession some of these dudes build with VTubers and porn stars and, you know, online content creators.
I guess it kind of rolls into the supposed male loneliness pandemic that's been going on for the past I don't know how many years. I mean,
How do you view you don't gotta talk about anything in your personal life, but how do you view the male loneliness epidemic?
well, I can say personally, I have not experienced such. I grew up being fairly sociable. I may have been a bit of a quiet kid, but I could make friends with just about anybody. Even in like say middle school, there are some classes in which I was a sixth grader in a class with eighth graders. But because I was so quiet, it kept to myself, and I guess you could kind of say I probably had resting bitch face syndrome. But
Yeah.
so the older kids would be afraid of me, but when they actually spoke to me, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're actually a really cool person. You just seem scary because you're just always so quiet. But yeah, once we got you talking, yeah, you're all right."
You know what would be cooler than advertisements right now? Overthrowing capitalism and the idolization of the nuclear family, then running away to the woods with the people you love, doing work that actually matters. Anyway, here's some ads.
What do you think of these fan sites like OnlyFans and Fansly? What do you think they lack in terms of something you as a consumer would like? We were talking about this earlier.
Yes, one thing that I did mention before recording was that those sites lack a browsing feature.
Which I'm always
And
surprised about that. Like, why wouldn't that increase their revenue? Because people might subscribe to multiple people that they find as they're just floating around.
especially for OnlyFans, since they were trying to pride themselves as a platform for creators, not just adult content creators, but the whole umbrella of content creators that could be out there from like making like models or hobbies. Even before the rebranding, they try to advertise themselves as such, like a Patreon, essentially.
What I remember
But
is when it was getting started, it's like a lot of things that eventually go mainstream on the internet. It was built off the backs of sex workers. And then they
like
pushed hard.
Patreon,
Yeah, actually, like Tumblr, fucking Patreon, fucking a lot of Twitter. I don't think Twitter would have gotten nearly as far as it did if you couldn't see titties on it.
especially now after Elon Musk was supposed to get rid of all the bots. You
Oh
say
yeah.
something on a public timeline, you'll have all sorts of bots swarming that entire comment section with all sorts of OnlyFans ads.
Oh, I get like 2, 3 messages a week in my, direct messages from like, "Oh,
Mm.
check out this porn game. Oh, check out this specific OnlyFans profile." And it's never really like, not anymore. It used to be back in the day, it would be the actual sex worker just being a dumbass and not understanding, like, hey, I'm a sex worker too. I'm probably not going to subscribe to your shit because I don't even know you.
But at the same time, I can kind of understand it because even like a fledgling band starts up. A group of friends got together, they started making music, and they're like, all right, we need to advertise ourselves to get some shows. You got to go out there to like every single venue that's out there or trying to play at parties or something like that just to get your name out there. So,
I agree with you on one hand. It's because we are having a decrease over the last 10 years in places we can even advertise on. Even,
mm,
like, no social media except maybe fucking Twitter really allows for it. And even then, fucking Muskie's getting all sassy about that too. I get it, but I'm with you. It kind of reads as desperation when I guess if you just did a little bit of thinking, a little bit of research, you could probably find better ways. Cause I know girls who keep their chatterbaits and their MFC accounts open and active just because they can advertise whatever on there.
yeah.
It's just a push to try and get people to go to their OnlyFans or whatever else they got for sale. I don't know. I think it's like a fucking the Mormons coming to your door on a Saturday morning.
To be fair for them, as you said, there's no real place to really advertise
And
because
that's why
no
I'm kind
one's
of
really looking for advertisements on, hey, you should go to this website for this account or this website for that account or for content of XYZ.
yeah.
That's stuff that you pretty much have to hunt down and kind of roll the dice for whatever creators are out there to see if you find someone or something that catches your interest.
There you can make a Pornhub or an X Hamster account and advertise that way as well. I know that's, a lot of creators do that. Or Twitch. Hey. I mean, you can't openly
Yeah,
advertise that I know of.
yeah, but 9 times out of 10, there will be a link tree on the account that will take you to spicy content sites.
I might have to try that.
I mean, Twitch seems to be the primary form of advertisement for fan sites.
I mean, it makes sense because these women and these men, there are men and women who, do both sex work and
Mhm.
like safe for work streaming. Hell, people are gonna sexualize them anyway. Might as well make a fucking buck and paywall it. I get it. Fucking A, man.
Yeah,
Get your bag.
that's been something people have been doing on Twitch anyways, trying to get some of the streamers to do something that could potentially get them banned off the platform. It's like, hey, I'll donate money if you do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking A, man. I love human beings. We will always find a loophole. Like that green screen ass phenomenon that went on. That was beautiful. I am so pissed I missed out on that. I totally would have done the shit out of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of the metas that you had missed out on. Hot tub was one of them. I remember. Just
There
an
was
excuse to wear a bikini.
hot tub streamers, yeah. And then they added it as a category, and I was fucking shocked.
Well, nowadays, after what has been brought to light regarding the Twitch CEO, it's not surprising. Oh yeah, it was found that he's used his work email to sign up for adult sites.
Jesus. Okay. Well, hey, I mean, personally, I wouldn't use my work email, but I'm also not the CEO of a company, so what the fuck do I know, man? You know?
So, so from Twitch's standpoint, such streamers are a good source of revenue,
Well, and the thing is, they know
and
it's lucrative. Sex
but if they get
sells.
rid of them, that's a lot of money that they'll be missing out on. But at the
Yep.
same time, another big source of their money is advertisers. And if advertisers catch wind, like, hey, your ad was showing on a stream where some girl was bouncing around with her boobs almost falling out, and you advertise like heart medicine.
I mean, I think they could go hand in hand. Viagra started out as a heart
Yeah,
medication. Blood pressure, I think. I don't remember.
yeah. Blood pressure's too high. Take this.
You also have a rock hard dick for the first time in 20 years, pal. Speaking of Twitch, though, like, there's a particularly popular person on Twitch. I'm not going to name any names, but they have an OnlyFans account. And for shickles, I think, or just because, I mean, they are an attractive human being. You subscribed to their OnlyFans for a month just to kind of poke around and see what they offered. How we've talked about it because it's kind of wild, in my opinion, for how much they charge. How's that going?
Okay, well, I had subscribed when they first opened it just to see what it was all about, and I honestly was not surprised because it was extremely, let's say, soft.
Like PG,
It was very, very,
implied sexuality?
yeah. Like nothing was really shown. It was just I'm gonna dress up and then dress down slightly for the camera and take a few pictures, post it. There you go. And yeah, at the time they were also still streaming somewhat regularly, like every like maybe a few days a week. And they also had a YouTube channel that they were making content for as well. But they said that going forward they would be cutting back to completely stopping making their YouTube content. So then they could focus more on the OnlyFans stuff and streaming.
Because they saw how much faster the money came in with OnlyFans.
Yes. And because of this particular person, just a little bit of background without giving too much away. They were not someone that you would just look at and think that's someone who would start an OnlyFans account. No, it was just some regular looking dude.
Yeah.
Some regular dude who was just doing little gamer videos and playing games and just having laughs and fun on his streams. And then some of his fans had caught wind of him doing some of those Omegle fake girl videos,
Yeah.
and that will probably that would probably let some people out there know who this might be. But yeah, people caught wind of that. Even people who didn't know of this individual before caught wind of that and thought, "Wow, that person looks good dressed up as a girl." So then they went into his streams, and
And then that became his job.
then essentially, then he got pestered and pestered. Like, hey, when are you gonna do another one of those Amigo videos, or when are you gonna dress up like that on a stream? And he monetized it. He said, if I get X number of subscriptions within whatever time frame, I'll do this kind of thing for like a few days. Then it became a week. Then it became a few weeks. Then it became a month. Then it became several months.
Now
And
it's been like 2-3 years, hasn't it?
yes, and now it's almost like a daily thing. I don't know exactly. I mean, he'll still boy mode, but he has fake eyelashes, he has fake nails. His hair has grown significantly since then as well. So he just kind of went all in over the past 2 or so years. With the content that he's put out that I'm aware of, it's not really, well, I guess for me, it's not really anything that I could really see it doing anything for anyone.
It's kind of
Uh,
where like the parasocial aspect, in my opinion, comes in. Is
hmm,
because he could be showing just ankles. And I think there's somebody out there who, in their mind, Like, this is their person, and they're just gonna go ape shit for it and keep paying the $15-20 a month or whatever the cost of the OnlyFans is.
Yeah, true. There are those diehard fans who are just ride or die.
Yeah. And, like, you were telling me that the content is kinda lacking for what you would expect from an OnlyFans.
Or from what I would assume would be on an OnlyFans.
Yeah. Like, most people are expecting, at least some form of pornographic, like, actual pornography when they subscribe to an OnlyFans, to my knowledge. I've never heard of anybody subscribing to, like, a baking OnlyFans,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, I guess he kind of does or has adhered to, I guess, a standard of what I have seen on, say, Patreon accounts before that kind of became a no go. Then it was just like, I guess, boudoir style photos, not even nudity, just like they could be in their underwear, lingerie, or whatever, and they would just be doing like those like intimate style photographs or videos.
And I don't really think there's anything
And
wrong with having a soft core level to your content creation. I've known a lot of people who are successful with it. How does he advertise it? Like, what does he say is on there? Does he kinda lead people on in that way, or is it pretty straightforward? He's like, "Yeah, it's just a couple butt cheeks and, like, an
I don't
implied
think he's
blowjob video."
actually I don't think he's actually advertised on like his Twitch streams like what exactly is on there. It was kind of like a hey, something pretty cool was just uploaded. You should go check it out. So if you wanted to find out what that something cool was, you would have to pay your $20 for the month and check it out.
So it's like the allure, the mystery of it all is what.
Yeah.
Well, and that's fucking fair. I personally only get pissy because I hate when people don't jump into pornography with both feet. They just kinda,
Mm.
like, tiptoe around it and don't really know what they're doing or care to learn. They just want a quick buck, quick money now. I know these people will pay for it because they think I'm gonna be, like, gaping my asshole and sucking 50 dicks while dressed up as, like, Sailor Moon.
Yeah. And he has been edging himself more to adult-oriented content, so to speak, because, like I said before, at first it was just very soft and suggestive or implied.
Yeah.
But from what I have uh, read in various forums, like Reddits and such, like he has been becoming more and more
Nude.
uh, that more lewd, more nude, and has actually I think one thing that he has done a few times so far was masturbate. I don't think ever to finish. If anything like that happened, it was not shown in whatever videos he had put out.
Well, I mean, it on one hand, as somebody who's been doing this for far too long, probably, like, in porn years, I'm dead. It's my favorite thing to tell people. Um, it irritates me because you were also mentioning, like, some of the pay-per-view messages he was sending. It was, like, 50, $100, and the video is, like, 2 minutes long. And it just seems like a cash grab, and I hate that because I
Yeah.
try to put a lot of effort and time into making sure my shit's updated, that people get what they pay for, because every time somebody, big or not, comes into the industry and they decide to do the cash grab way of things, it makes the rest of us look like assholes.
In regards to the pay-per-view stuff, I had looked into that because that was something that kind of had me scratching my head like, wait, so you paid $20 for a subscription to the site, to the account,
Yeah.
just to see what's on there. And then in your DMs, you get this special offer. Well, special
Special
offer in
offer.
quotations. Because it's like, take it or leave it. It's like, hey, there's this really nice thing here. You want it? You want it? Just dangle the keys? Well, we'll pay up, little piggy. But I know that there have been creators on those websites who operate that way. But I also know that there's others who it's either you pay up front, get it all, or the account is free to follow. There'll be little teasers here and there, but for the good stuff, yeah, you have to pay for what you want. But looking into this particular content creator, it seems as if there was a change that happened in recent months and weeks to where he has changed to this current model of pricey pay-per-view stuff when before it sounded like a lot of things were, hey, I did this, here it is.
Oh Christ, do you smell that? It's the stench of someone trying to convince you to buy shit you don't need. Here's some ads for goods and services we definitely don't endorse.
Do you still have access to his shit?
I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure I had unsubscribed before the month rolled over.
Because you were
But
saying they were only
I
updating
remember,
like 3 times 1 week and then nothing for 2 weeks and then,
yeah, it was very sporadic, but it seems like they had a lot of, I guess, personal things going on or things outside or offline that were going on.
and
So I guess that
I get
would get
that.
in the way of things. But there's other people out there who would just be a lot more consistent, or at least would have something to offer. Just like, hey, here's a small little bone here or there, just to let you know I'm still alive and still active here.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And one of the things I thought was bizarre and I hadn't even really thought of is when you subscribed to this person's OnlyFans account, one of the reasons you wanted to was to direct message them.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing because I know a lot of content creators, especially on Twitch. They would sometimes have a little note saying, "Hey, if you want to be in direct contact with me, I'm frequently on this website and I'm frequently answering DMs and whatnot." That
Is
was
that something he ever tried, that form of advertising? Be like, if you guys actually want to talk to me, go to my OnlyFans or whatever.
I cannot recall, but I would say that I've had very brief interactions with him, if it was him, because that's another thing that seems to be a bit iffy for some people out there, is whether or not he's handed his account over to a third party or not.
Like chat
But
bot space. They're not bots. They're just people who get paid a very
well,
low amount of money to fucking respond to OnlyFans messages.
yeah, chatters.
Yeah.
Um, like some of the interactions I've had were just very brief responses from like a pay per view he's posted, and I'll just make a comment on it, and sometime later I'll probably get a very brief response from that. And then out of curiosity, I would try and like engage in an actual conversation, and it would seem as if I would be getting genuine replies from that. But like I said, it just seemed very brief. Like it was just,
Minimum
hey, there's a
effort.
message. I just gotta say something, just I guess to keep them engaged.
Yeah, and that I mean, it could just be that. I don't know. I'm sure his inbox is chock fucking full of people,
Yeah,
and that's gotta be I know that's stressful. I know that's anxiety inducing. I know that makes you go, fuck, man. I don't even know if I have enough social energy right now to fucking
I know. I know before he opened that fan account that his DMs on Twitter alone were probably bombarded. Same
Oh
for his
god, yeah.
Discord. Same for his Reddit account. Because it seemed like he just kind of popped off overnight, and there's just a flood of people in his DMs watching his streams, watching the videos, even that if they had nothing to do with what they're there for. He just got a large viewership from that as well.
When it comes to somebody who has that level of fame and that level of pull with people to where they're maybe attracting more people than they can handle. How do you feel about the idea of them passing off the responsibility of responding to people to like a paid service, to like other people who are going to act as this person and respond so the actual person doesn't have to?
For something like that, I would have to say it seems very disingenuous. Because I mean, I already know that OnlyFans was being sued as of I think about a month or so ago. I haven't looked into that for any updates, but um, a number of fans or members felt as if they had paid for access to a person or to who they subscribed to because they would advertise maybe that, hey, if you DM me, I will respond.
Yeah.
But then there was speculation as to that not being true because in some instances they would some people unrelated to the lawsuit would comment saying they would be talking to the owner of the account or who they thought was the owner of the account, and sometimes the way they typed their responses would seem different, or there would be no recollection whatsoever to what may have been said. And on that regard, I can find that understandable because if you're someone who has a large audience, that's just too many people trying to interact with you to just remember one or two specific people unless they were people who were already heavily involved in your life.
I think last night when I was doing the voyeur stream, that sort of thing kind of came up because a dude came in the room. He's like, "Hey, do you remember our conversation?" I'm like, "No. Are you kidding me? I'm like a fucking window fast food worker at this joint. Like I talk to like 100 people or more a night. No, I don't. Can you enlighten me?"
Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't fault them for something like that. But it just seemed as if there was a bit of a difference between who they were interacting with at a given time. So they just assumed maybe this is a bot or a paid chatter, especially when you take into consideration there is no way that that individual will be sitting there all day long when supposedly they'd have all these other things going on to respond to all these messages.
That's why, like I said, when it gets to a certain level, I can almost understand it, but I think I would just make a higher tier. Because on the shit I work on, that Fansly, you've seen it. You can make like different pay tiers, like a Patreon, you know.
Mm,
And I think if somebody really, really that's what they want, they crave that sort of access to you, then paywall it. And that's horrible, but I think it's better than either burning yourself out or just hiring a company to pretend to be you.
yeah, because I would have to say just outright, uh, as a fan, as someone who's subscribing, that does not automatically give you right to such access to that individual.
No, unless
If they say that
explicitly
they're going to do it,
advertised.
yeah, if they say they're going to do it, then yeah, that's on them. But I do recall seeing that there are some accounts out there that would either as a tier or as a separate service would have that level of interactivity, such
Yeah.
as say the boyfriend experience or just a
Yeah.
certain period of talking
Like,
about just anything
yeah,
or something explicit.
I've seen people do like, okay, from this hour to this hour in the day, if you pay this much, then you get total access to me, like you were saying, boyfriend experience, which is essentially just paying for a parasocial relationship with someone. And I'm
Yeah,
not trying to say this in a negative way, but it is what it is.
and it's right there, plain writing. It's like for an experience. So it's essentially just role play for
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah. And some people are really into that, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, if that's what you're after, great. But to expect it from every content creator is wild.
Especially if you know how crazy their schedule is and all the things that they're doing. The content creation world is not simply I turn on my camera, record, or stream, and that's it.
It's a
There, a
one-person
lot of those
show.
people, a lot of those people are doing a lot of pre-production, post-production,
Well, editing,
fine-tuning, and tweaks, and
advertising, yeah. You've seen me bitch and whine about all the background
believe me,
work.
I've seen you working while working.
Hell yeah, man, I love to multitask. Fuck yeah. If work is slow, like if stream is slow and people aren't really like into getting shows that night, I'll just sit my happy ass there and do another part of my job that I've been neglecting because I've been trying to do every other, like, too many eggs, too many baskets. But man, that's how it works. That's how content creation is. And I'm sure for people who just do safe for work content creation online, it's probably very similar.
Well, I think for them it takes a whole lot more out of them from what it sounds like. Because I've seen some videos for like YouTubers. Like, a lot of them are commenting on how they have very little time for themselves and for friends, and it seems to be increasingly in decline. They're doing research for whatever video or topic they're doing, and then they're doing the recordings and then the editing. It's like, okay, I didn't like that take. I didn't like that take. I like that take. Maybe I can cut that down a little bit more. It's
It's
just a whole lot.
it's a full-time job. You do not really get time off from it when you are doing a gig like that,
Mhm.
especially if you're doing it well. You are everything to that gig. You are, like I was saying, the editor, the producer, the advertiser, the star, the fucking camera guy, you're everything. And it
Mm,
makes sense that even for safe for work stuff, it's still exhausting. It's still taking up more of your time than you wish it had to, but you know deep down, oh shit, this is what I do. This is my job. I have to keep going.
yeah. But one thing that I guess these safer work content creators have is depending on the size of their audience, they can delegate tasks to others.
Yeah.
Whereas the adult content creation world, that potentially could be more costly than simply paying payroll to someone else. Because some things you hand off to someone else to do, they might just throw it up somewhere else for free.
Exactly. They might just take the work you already put in and share it somewhere where you're not necessarily. They might just rip you off, basically.
Yeah, basically. Something like that would also get them in a massive heap of trouble if they did do it. But it's the online market for such things does seem to be against sex workers.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's it. That is the first half of the episode with my friend Dixie. Join us again next week for the second half of today's episode, where once again I'll be talking to Dixie about the ups and downs of being a pervert in the digital age.
If you would like to be a guest on the Dix Report and feel you have something to say to entertain our amazing audience of perverts and weirdos, please send us an email to fonda@ethicalasfuck.com or contact us via our Facebook page, facebook.com/FONDASVOID. Join us again next week as Fonda dives back into the void with another interview filled with as much filth as we can possibly pack into an MP3 file. Thank you for tuning in, perverts.